The Gladiator Games stand as one of the most iconic and enduring images of ancient Rome. They conjure visions of sand, blood, and roaring crowds in vast amphitheaters. But the reality of these spectacles was far more intricate and complex than popular culture often portrays. They were not just random fights to the death. While undeniably brutal, the games were part of a carefully orchestrated system. This system was designed with multiple layers of purpose. It certainly involved violence and the raw spectacle of combat, but it was also deeply intertwined with entertainment on a grand scale. Crucially, the games were a powerful tool for political maneuvering and social control. Understanding them requires looking beyond the simple clash of swords. Contrary to romanticized notions of noble warriors fighting for glory, most gladiators were not free-willed individuals seeking fame. The vast majority were drawn from the lowest strata of Roman society. Most gladiators were slaves, often purchased specifically for the arena. Their lives were considered expendable commodities. Many were prisoners of war, captured during Rome's relentless expansion. They were forced to fight for the entertainment of their conquerors. Condemned criminals were also frequently sentenced to the arena. This was often a death sentence, a public execution disguised as sport. Their lives were not their own. They belonged to the owner of the gladiator school, the Lanista. This ownership dictated their existence entirely. Training for these individuals was incredibly rigorous. It was designed to turn disparate individuals into effective, if unwilling, fighters. The training was also undeniably brutal. It pushed bodies to their limits and instilled discipline through harsh methods. Gladiators were housed in specialized schools known as ludi. These were essentially barracks combined with training facilities. The most famous of these was the Ludus Magnus in Rome, adjacent to the Colosseum. Life within the ludus was harsh and regimented. Training involved intense physical conditioning. Gladiators needed immense strength and stamina to survive the demands of combat. Weapon training was central to their education. They learned to use specific weapons associated with different gladiator types. Combat drills were practiced constantly. These drills honed their skills and prepared them for the specific challenges of arena combat. The training was meticulously designed to hone their fighting skills to a deadly edge. Survival depended entirely on their proficiency. Ultimately, the training was aimed at ensuring survival in the arena, not necessarily victory. A skilled fighter who survived was more valuable than one who died quickly. The gladiator games were far from spontaneous brawls. They were meticulously planned and highly structured events. These spectacles were often organized by wealthy individuals seeking public favor. Sponsoring games was a sure way to gain popularity. Emperors themselves frequently organized games on a massive scale. This was a direct display of imperial power and generosity. The primary aim of organizing games was to gain popularity among the Roman populace. Bread and circuses kept the masses content. Organizing grand games also aimed to solidify the power of the sponsor. It demonstrated wealth, influence, and the ability to command resources. The types of gladiators featured in a day's program were carefully chosen. Variety was key to keeping the audience engaged. The weapons assigned to each gladiator were also deliberately selected. Specific weapon sets defined different gladiator classes. Gladiator matchups were carefully planned. Organizers aimed to create interesting and balanced contests, or sometimes deliberate mismatches for dramatic effect. These choices aimed to create a diverse spectacle. A program might include different fighting styles, animal hunts, and public executions. All aspects were chosen to create an engaging spectacle that would captivate the thousands in the audience. Boredom was the enemy of the organizer. Different classes of gladiators existed, each with distinct armor, weapons, and fighting styles. This added complexity and variety to the contests. Examples include the heavily armored Murmillo. This class typically fought with a sword and a large shield, resembling a Roman legionary. Another example is the agile retiarius. This gladiator fought with a net, a trident, and a dagger, often wearing minimal armor. Different classes were deliberately pitted against each other to create contrasting styles. The heavy Murmillo might face the light retiarius. Each class had its own unique fighting style, dictated by their equipment. This required specific training and tactics. Each class had its own specific weaponry and armor. This defined their strengths and weaknesses in combat. The outcome of a gladiator contest was not always death. While death was a constant possibility, survival was also common. Death was, however, a frequent and expected outcome, especially in certain types of contests or for condemned criminals. The audience came expecting bloodshed. Crucially, the crowd held significant power to influence a gladiator's fate. Their collective will could sway the decision of the sponsor. If a defeated gladiator fought bravely and showed skill, the crowd could signal for mercy. This was a powerful moment of audience interaction. Signaling for mercy was traditionally done by raising thumbs, though the exact gesture's meaning, up or down, is debated by historians. The intent was clear: spare him. Ultimately, the emperor or the organizer of the games held the final decision on whether to grant clemency. They could override the crowd's will. Conversely, the emperor or organizer could order the killing blow even if the crowd favored mercy. Their authority was supreme. Audience participation added a layer of unpredictability to the games. The crowd's mood could shift the dynamics of the arena. This participation heightened the emotional impact for both the gladiators and the spectators. It made the audience feel invested in the outcome. Beyond entertainment, the games served a crucial social function in Roman society. They were a shared experience that cut across social classes. They also served a vital political function for those in power. The games were a tool of governance. They provided a spectacular form of entertainment for the masses, from senators to slaves. Everyone could attend, though seating was segregated. The games served as a powerful distraction for the masses from daily hardships and political discontent. They were a release valve for social tension. Attending the games fostered a sense of unity among Romans, a shared identity forged in the amphitheater. They were all Romans watching Romans fight. The games also served as a platform for political propaganda. Sponsors could project an image of power, wealth, and generosity.